Alrighty, big brother, Mr. Arias. I believe that's how you say your last name. Here's your Texas Star 250. And I'm sure, as you knew, man, this amp was in very, very rough shape. Very rough shape. Had to do a good bit of work to this thing, brother. Had to take the board out, do an extensive amount of work to it. Let's put it that way. And got a good bit of hours of labor in this thing. My homeboy, Mr. 073, actually got this completed for you, man. It's a blessing to have him around, man. He's as pretty much as equal crafted with these Texas Stars as I am. He was playing around with these Texas Stars right here, repairing these bad boys back before I was crawling. Yeah, I take that back. He was messing around with these things back when I was probably getting my training wheels off my bike. So. But he went through this thing. He had to replace a couple of bad traces. I think there was possibly one or two that was on the bottom. Of course, you had this one right here on the power that was popped right here, man. He fixed that right there for you. Put two new feedback circuits on here for you. Resoldered, I believe we put a new 1000 on here, and it looking kind of not too shabby. Luckily the preamp transistor here is still good. This is one of them old style metal cases. It's still good and it's working well. It's working very well. The whole keying circuit in this thing had to be redone. Got a new sideband cap there. The whole keying circuit section has been replaced. Went ahead and added you two wires there. They were looking quite thin. Put you a ground wire there from that one to the board as well. Right here on the front, gave you a few new let's see, which ones did I put here for you? Okay, the AM was good. That's your original AM. I went ahead and replaced the power, receive, and SSB lenses. The old ones wasn't very, it wasn't too bad, but I went ahead and put you new ones on there, man. I was thinking about giving you a whole new front here, man, but this front's in fairly good shape. Got you a new meter in here. Okay, the old meter was not working properly at all. I can't remember if it was working, but was barely moving, or if it was completely dead. I can't quite remember. I'm going to start writing down more application notes instead of going off memory. But he did a good job getting this thing up and going for you, man. He did have to put a good bit of labor into it. Went ahead and replaced the put your two new 10 ohms on here. Let's see, what else was there? There was one more thing. Oh yeah, went ahead and did a little power wire upgrade for you, as you can see there. It's got you some good fresh 8 gauge on there for you, man. That definitely was needed, if you remember the wire that was on there. But went down here and cleaned the heck out of this thing, man. This thing was dirty. This thing was dirty. You see it now. Of course, it ain't the most spotless thing that you've ever seen, but if you would have seen it before, you would say this right here is super clean. Super clean. Another thing I went ahead and did is, and I've shared this with a couple of my other videos, these tabs here. Okay, you see these tabs. They don't use this style switch anymore with their new ones, and this is the reason why. These tabs have kind of worked their way a little loose over time. And see, that tab right there is the positive. Okay, that right there is the positive. If you see this is a good way too if anybody ever wants to hook up a fan or something. I'm not a big fan of hooking up a fan right there on the relay, because if you see, that's where it's pulling. That's the very first component towards the bias circuit. So that is where it's pulling the bias circuit. And the bias circuit needs a certain amount of amperage during load. And I don't really like to add it right there, a good strong fan or anything. I like to take it up here at the switch, okay, because you do have two separate power paths. You know, one's coming up here to the switch and the other one's going here to the relay. But this one right here, the tab right here, does not have power until this switch is pushed in. The lead that is right in front of it has power at all times. The switch over here is a ground, and this is for your lamp. It does not have polarity. The lamp doesn't have polarity, but that's for your lamp. And so on for here, and there's one of these that's actually backwards, and I believe it's the side band one, if I remember correctly. All right, so went ahead and did as I do with pretty much every Texas starter comes through here now, and went ahead and soldered every one of these tabs for you, so you'll never have that problem again with it coming on loose, because I think two of these buttons were a little touchy. All right, man, we're just gonna go ahead and hit the hot radio into it right now. I've got that hooked up. Okay, so we'll be driving about 8 bird into it, just so you can see the top end. And as you see, man, it's doing some decent RMS. It's doing real good for what I say a 250 should be doing. The peak isn't, you know, absolutely outstanding, you know, but at this point it's probably just the transistors. They're probably just a little weak, you know. These transistors have health just like a tube does, man. Their HFE value slowly deteriorates over time. You know, a lot of people don't know that. To be honest with you, it wasn't too long ago, maybe about three years ago or so, when I actually learned that. All right, let's go ahead and turn the hot radio on. Well, I take that back. I need to show that input reflect. I do remember this thing had a little bit of input reflect on it, which we fixed. So we're going to put this right here in there first. Okay. Alrighty. Alright, bud, as you know, that right there is a low. Well, that right there is medium. Well, actually, it goes like this right here. Okay, if I remember correctly. I think, let me see here real quick. On these models right here. Okay. Alright, I believe it's this way. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Let me check real quick. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Okay, that right there is low. AM and SSB pushed in. That is low. Okay. That is medium, in a sense. That is pretty much a medium high, the step right before high and high. Okay, so we're just going to run it on high, so you can see the workings of it. Okay, we got 1,000 watts slug in. That's about 80 bird, a little bit under 80 bird. Alright. Put the PEP in. Yeah. So that's right there about 220. Alright, we're going to go ahead and unhook. And we're running right there on 14.8 bolts. My bolt meter has went out over there. I think I left it on while I was on vacation. I need to take some time and get these pyramids, pop the tops off them and repair them. Alrighty. Alright, we're just going to key this thing up with the hot radio. Oh yeah. See, that thing's working now, buddy. Oh yeah. See, that meter before wasn't working at all, man. Alright, here's your RMS. 1,000 watt slug. Oh yeah. Right there at 100 bird, big brother. That's 100 bird. Oh yeah. Alrighty. Going over to the PEP. Oh yeah. It's right there about 230. What am I talking about? I don't know. Hold on a second here. No, yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's about 280. Excuse me. I don't know what. I've been doing off like 2 hours of sleep, y'all. Forgive me. Okay, forgive me. So, earlier in the video when I said it's not the biggest powerhouse, I take that back. For some reason I was sitting here thinking it was only doing about 200 watts, but like I said, I've had like 2 hours of sleep last night. The amp's working as it should. As you see, it's already close to hitting the 250 with just 4 watts of drive. Doubling that with 8, it's right there close to hitting about 300, a little bit under. It's hitting about 270, right around there. All right, buddy. Well, there you go, man. 100 bird watt 250, man. You can't beat that, brother. That's a 250 that's working well. Usually I'll see 250s do anywhere from 80 to about 120 bird is what I've seen. All right, man. You enjoy this bad boy. There's definitely some labor put in this one. Sometimes they just have to have it, man, and sometimes they don't. Have fun, bud. Gatekeeper's gone.